would like to invite you to the review of issue 16 of White Dwarf from 17th May 2014. In this issue, as you can probably imagine, we've got plenty of news on 7th edition of Warhammer 40,000, plenty of news on Unbound armies, on Forge World armies, new Psychics phase, and the new missions. And of course, we've got the new release of the book and the limited edition book. So keep on watching. In front of us, we've got the cover of new issue, of issue 16. Let's ponder on this cover for a second. As you can see, we've got the demon prints, we've got some models, and we've got all the new bits that are going to be mentioned in this issue. Other than that, what I can say is that this cover is glossy. Right, back to being serious. The new release in this issue is the Warhammer 40,000, which is advertised for the 24th of May. That's when it's going to be released. The price of this issue, of this edition, is going to be £50, 65 euros and $85. What you will get, you'll get 3 books: rules, fluff, hobby stuff, if I point correctly, in nice slipcase. All books will be hardbound, hardback, and sewn, if I'm not mistaken. So all these new books come in nice slipcase that can hold all 3 of them, and nevermore you will have to carry all these useless stuff for a gamer to your game. You can just carry your rulebook and that's it. No more broken backs and stuff. Additional info: the Dark Vengeance box, there's a side note over here, then leaked pictures of those have did their turns around the internet, and the Dark Vengeance box is going to stay the same. It's not going to be Blood Angels and Orcs, as one of the rumors said. It's just going to be Dark Angels and Chaos. What's going to be different is that the book is going to be different. It's going to be exchanged for the new book, but I'm not sure what format it is going to be. And as with all new releases, we've got limited edition release. This time we get a nice box in which we can hold all our books. We get all these 3 books that we can get in normal edition. We get 6 counters, probably objective counters of some sort. We get a map of the Millennium, Imperial Dominion. I think it's A1 size, so it's like, I think, 16 A4 sheets of paper. We get additional book with artwork that can be sold, that can be bought separately, mind you. We get all the magic cards and all the mission cards. Additionally, we get the board with quick reference board, and all this in a nice box. The price of this set, hold on to your chairs, is going to be £200, 250 euros, or $340. And I think there's only 2,000 of these in the world, so you gotta be quick. Other new things that are being released on 24th of May are Visions of the Dark Millennium, which is the additional book in the Monitorium edition, the book with the artwork and everything, and blah blah blah. 144 pages, 144 hardbound pages, and additionally a slipcase to put it in. New and old artwork, plenty of cool stuff. What's more, we're gonna get Warhammer 40,000 digital edition, and there's one interesting bit in this. There's going to be an ebook edition, which is just a normal ebook, and you can just browse through it manually. And as for all iPad, iPod, iDevices, there's going to be an interactive edition, the one that you can click on items and they will open the references and so on and so on. There was going to be animations and plenty of this fancy stuff that we don't actually need, but there's an option. If you like fancy stuff, you can buy this one. Additionally, again, we've got tactical objectives cards. These are 36 large format cards with the missions. You don't need to get these because they will be in the book, and there's going to be a big huge table, the 66 table, that you can choose, write down your mission and play the game without the need for these cards. But actually I'm a fan of these cards, of cards like that, so I'm going to get them, and I suggest you get them as well. Why? Just in case some of these missions have to be played as secret missions, you will be able to shuffle the deck and not really give any tells to your tells. Is that how you say it? Give out to your opponent what mission you got. So because they probably might remember what's your role on the table, and more or less. With these cards, we also get, well, not with these cards, on the same date, we also get the Psychic Power cards. And these are going to be 50 large format cards, this depicting all magic powers of the 7 disciplines of magic in Warhammer 40,000 7th edition. You will get 50 of them. And again, you don't need to get them because they will be in the rulebook, but to save yourself some shuffling of the pages, get those cards and your life will be a bit easier. Let's move on to the meat and the essence of Warhammer 40,000, which is the rules that are changing this edition. In this article, Jervis Johnson, well, that's not actually Jervis Johnson, Adam Trog sat down with all these guys who wrote the rules and asked them several questions about the new rule set. By talking to him, they divided the new changes into 2 categories: a huge game-changing changes and the tweaks and improvements to the rules. So the first big changes will be the psychic phase, the additional psychic phase that's coming back from previous editions. And just to prove, some of you who have never played Warhammer 40,000 or just played it from 6th edition, we used to have psychic phase already. So it's coming back, and just to remind you, it went away because it was slowing down the game like it does to Warhammer Fantasy. But hey, maybe it's going to be more dynamic, we'll see. Anywho, the next change is the new army composition, the Battleforged and Unbound armies, which I'm going to talk about a bit later. But that's another game changer. You can either apply to the force organization chart, or just take any models you want and put them in one army. Hey, it's your choice. And obviously, new mission cards, new mission objectives, new 6 Maelstrom of War missions, contrary to Eternal War that are already there. So we will have 12 missions, 36 objectives, and it's going to be fun. I hope it's going to be fun. So the next changes that are coming in with the new edition of Warhammer 40,000 is plenty of small tweaks, as I mentioned. One of them is mentioned over here, is the increase of the coherency of some of the units. So infantry is not going only to be 3 inches upwards and 2 inches to the sides. Coherency is going to be 2 inches sideways and 6 inches upwards. So you will be able to put one of your let's say spotters 2 floors above your guys and spot and I don't know, do crazy stuff like snipers. You will be able to do that. Cool change, I think. Makes sense that they don't have to hold hands constantly. I would actually love to see 6 inches in a normal, like sideways, vertically, and not vertically, horizontally. But that might be a bit too much, so I think that 4 inches would be enough. The next one is there's no more need to take leadership tests for Spitfire firing, which is nice. I mean, these are well-trained soldiers, so they don't have to think about it and like, oh, can we do it? Yes, we actually can do it this time. No, they just shoot what they want and they can split their fire as they want. Additional one, new change is the most obvious and the most feared upon on the internet is the addition of super heavies and gargantuan creatures and so on and so on. There's a rumor that a new Oki Codex, the Stompa, will be in normal 40k Codex. So gargantuan creatures, monstrous creatures, super heavies are there for the taking. So you can play with them in a normal 1500 points game. And one of the changes that is like a huge change for me is a wound allocation change. Basically what it means that the wounds that you allocate from shooting are done differently. I mean the allocation is done differently. How? Weapon by weapon. So let's say you've got a flamer, you've got a bolter, and you've got a missile launcher in your unit, and you want to shoot all of that into a unit. So you decide which weapon will shoot first. So let's just assume that you're gonna shoot a frag missile into a unit of orcs, and you've got 4 orcs over here. 4 orcs, yeah, that's my fingers are orcs, and you hit with the frag missile, and your unit is over here, right? So it's just there, and you hit and you kill those 2 orcs. So then you've got 2 orcs left over here, and all of your other weapons are out of range. So your flamer won't be able to shoot, and your bolters will be only to shoot in once, not in rapid fire. So you will have to think more tactically which weapon you want to shoot first. My only doubt is that it's going to slow down the game, because right now we could just throw the buckets of dice, and yeah, some people die. Right now we'll have to sort of split the dice rolling, but it will make the game more, I don't know, realistic. The next change that is coming, and a quite huge change that is coming in 7th edition, is the survivability of vehicles. This time it's not going to be as easy as, let's say for me, for my orcs, to roll 5 or 6 to hit, then with a big shooter, 5 or 6 to glance and penetrate, and let's say I roll the 6, then roll another 6 to kill, to destroy a rhino. It's not going to be that easy. I mean, it's not easy in itself, but it's possible. Right now, my big shooter won't be able to destroy a rhino in one lucky shot. Why? Because I will need a roll of 7 to destroy it. I mean, not actual roll, but the result on the damage table will have to be 7. And how can you achieve the result of 7? Well, by using weapons that have AP2 or AP1 armor penetration statistic, which obviously, as you may know, give them +1 or +2 to the vehicle damage table result. So even if you roll a 5 with a weapon that has AP1 and has +2 to its result, you will be able to destroy a vehicle with 1 shot. If you don't have such weapon, you won't be able. You will have to sort of bang the metal case of this model and sort of destroy it with glancing hits or penetrating hits, even that will not destroy it in 1 shot, take it out of the game. Which is a cool feature, because right now rhinos and all other vehicles will just die every first turn. In the Spoils of War, we've got 2 guys, Jess Bickham and Dan, playing a game. It's a battle report. It's a 1200 point game against between orcs playing as battle forged army and Tyranids playing as unbound army. What's the difference? The difference is that in unbound army you've got only super heavies, monstrous creatures and so on. I mean huge heavies and so on. And in obviously Battle Forge, you've got HQ, you've got troops, you've got elites, you've got this and that. It's a more or less normal army. What we can see in this battle report is that we've got different new cool features when it comes to missions, when it comes to turns. As you can see over here, we've got every turn the army gets new objectives. How do you get new objectives? At first turn you draw 3 objectives. Let's say orcs drew Dominion, Hungry for Glory and Secure Objective 3. If they manage to fulfill these objectives at the end of the turn, not the game, the turn, they automatically get the points. They are awarded victory points. So you don't have to, let's say, secure the objective until the end of the game. You have to secure it at the end of the turn. So it's more like Apocalypse, which is cool and makes the game more dynamic. So what do you do if you, let's say, get the Hungry for Glory and Secure Objective and you fulfilled it and you got the points? You draw another 2 cards. If you're not happy with the Domination card, you can reject it, discard it and take another one. You can only discard 1 card per turn, but you have to draw up to 3 cards to have up to 3 cards in your hand. To have 3 cards, not up to, because you always have to have 3 missions. Additional thing that we get to know from this article is that Battleforge army has this special rule called secured objective. What it means is that if we have 3 carnifexes from an unbound army on objective 3 and 1 last surviving orc on this objective, his presence will trump the presence of carnifexes. He will be securing the objective, because unbound army Unbound armies are supposed to be, killer armies. They're supposed to wipe the table from the face of the earth. They are not there to take objectives, so they are not interested in them. But this single orc is more interested in this objective than probably saving his life from the carnifexes. Anyhow, that's what the new cool feature is. In Power of the Warp, Adam Trock explains the new psychic phase. I'm not gonna go into details, but from what I read, it's very similar to what we've got in Warhammer Fantasy, which means that if you've got a Psyker of level 4, you get 4 dice and plus d6 warp charge dice. And for every Psyker in your army, you get the same amount of dice, blah blah blah. If you want to cast your spell, you don't cast your spells on leadership anymore, you cast them on, let's say, 4+. So if you want to cast the spell and you want to be sure you cast it, you can roll 3 or 4 dice, which increases the chances of you getting Perils of the Warp, which is a double 6, or so on and so on. So there's a risk involved, but all your opponents get warp charges to deny the witch, and they can use as many dice as they want, if I read this correctly. On the next pages, we've got the Malefic Powers, which is one of the new 2 new disciplines of magic, and there's also Sanctic Powers, which are probably something to do good to your units, and these ones are something to do bad to your opponent's units, because I don't think you would do anything bad to your own units, but who knows. So we've got 6 new magic powers and the Primaris power. But if you want to read them, if you want to know them, either buy the new cards, buy the new book, or buy the White Dwarf, which is coming out this Saturday. In War Without Limits, we've got Jess Bickham explaining the differences between Battleforged armies and Unbound armies. As we can see here, we've got a Battleforged army, which looks more or less like the army that we would expect in Warhammer 40,000. The main difference is that, as I mentioned before, the secured objective special rule, that all the units are scoring units, and so on and so on. The additional bonus that the Battleforged army gets is the reroll of the Warlord trait. So let's say we decide to have a personal trait and we roll for something that we didn't actually want, we can reroll that. Unbound armies can't do that. I don't think they can even get the Warlord trait, because there's obviously no Warlord in an Unbound army. It's just a pack of units, pack of sort of renegades, I would say, from any army that want to just fight and kill, blah blah blah. So we've got the differences between Battleforged and Unbound army, and as you can see on the example over here, I hope you can see that there's plenty of bugs. We've got HQ, which is 1 Tervigon, 2 Zoanthropes, and I need to count that again. I counted in the Polish version, but 120, 180, 190, 200 something bugs, 200 something, and 30 gargoyles, which is like, oh my god, it's 263 models. That's amazing. But to be honest, that's what tyrannies are all about. They are not about big bugs. The big bugs should be somewhere in the back, sprouting even more big bugs. But bugs. So this is the Unbound army. As you can see, it is according to fluff. And in Paint Splatter, we are still working on Wood Elves. As you can see, there are plenty of cool new things to try out on your models, but let's forget about this issue. It's not about Wood Elves, it's about Warhammer 40,000 7th edition. In the Week in White Wolf, we've got the most interesting thing is the army list from the battle report, and some additional stuff on the book that is included in the new slipcase for new rule set. So this is an interesting read. Apart from that, nothing really, just models of the week, weapons of the week, blah blah blah, nothing interesting. The new Warhammer Visions that we looked through, and there it is, the parting shot. Imperial Guard army parting shot, and as you can see, we've got Baneblade in a normal army of 40k, which again suggests that we are going to be using plenty of those in the nearest future. And that would be it for this week. I hope you're as excited as I am for the 7th edition. I hope it brings plenty of good to our game. Anyhow, I hope in that 3 to 4 episodes we will be talking orcs, and I'll be able to talk a bit more on that than I usually do, because I love orcs and I've been playing orcs since this edition. So next week we're gonna review, obviously, issue 17 of White Dwarf, and we'll have a quick look at the rulebook and what comes inside. See you next week.